Maybe the other aspect is even if they know that there might be people won't comply, it's almost like, when it came to Hitler and they told him there's a war on two fronts, he was so into his ideology and what he wanted to do, he just kept going. He's like, crank up the gas chamber, keep going. Like they told him, you can't keep doing this. You're going to run out of resources. You're going to run, we can't physically, logistically keep doing this, and we're going to lose the war if you keep doing this gas chamber stuff. If you keep fighting, we're going to Russia, trying to go to Moscow in the winter, you can't do it. Just kept going. So I feel like, even Fauci and Bill Gates, they know what's coming, and they just have to keep, evil has the seeds of its own destruction, as they say.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely believe that these people have no way out of this situation.
Yeah.
I think the story, I shouldn't say the story, but this set of current events is only going to grow and become more prominent, I think, as people wake up globally over the next 6 months. I think we're sitting in a very interesting point of history. I've sort of figured out in the last week that the mainstream people, which I refer to as the sheep, are effectively about a year behind us of people who've been in this, fighting out against this. So I've actually been reposting information now that my censorship ban's off on Twitter, of information that's a year old.
Sure.
And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Yeah, how'd you know?
and so I think this awakening is happening. And they tried to label and smear people like me and Dr. Zelenko, and it worked they kept us bottled and I guess away from the mainstream for a period of time.
Yeah.
But we're out now, and we're having impact, and all the people I'm working with and trying to cooperate with in this fight, it seems like we're having more impact.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting for me I guess, I was very young when we moved out of the Soviet Union, but I know the history of kind of how media worked over there, where, like perfect example was Chernobyl. And when it actually happened, the people that were around that area knew about a year or two before anybody else found out. They had their own way of suppressing it. And finally, the fumes, not the fumes, the radiation went over to Sweden, and then, Western country was affected, and then the whole world found out about that. I always like to say, it's like, it's just funny to me how people are now just discovering what people like us knew from, like, literally Telegram groups. Like, literally, I had friends asking me, how do you know all this stuff? Where do you find this stuff? Where this is not reported in the news? And I'm just like, you go to the news for your information. I mean, there's alternative news sources, but how do we know to trust them? How do we know who to trust? I'm like, well, guys, I mean, like some of these people this is what astounded me, where the people that knew that the news and the governments were lying to them about stuff like Israel, coverage of Israel, or pretty much anything else on planet Earth, for some reason, they believed the media when it came to this issue, which is, I don't understand. It has to be this psychosis thing. I don't know how else to explain it.